Hello, this is Jackie with Panama Relocation Tours. Thank you for joining us for our Saturday live stream. This Saturday, we have two special guests that are going to talk about the emotional roller coaster ride that you go through when you make the decision to move to Panama. And it's something everybody's going to go through. You start out with a lot of excitement, and then you have doubts about whether or not you're making the right decision, and you go back into excitement mode. So things are going to change, and we're going to go over all of the emotional feelings that you may have whenever you make your move to Panama. I'll bring Thomas and Mike on in just a few minutes. First, I've got a couple of announcements. For those that are new to our channel, thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to check out our website at PanamaRelocationTours.com for information about our all-inclusive 6-day, 7-night Panama relocation tours, our private tours, and also our online guide, which is like a home study course on how to move to Panama. All those things have helped thousands of people move to Panama, and they can certainly help you too. Also, I know that tomorrow is Mother's Day in the United States, so I want to wish a happy Mother's Day to all you mothers that are in the United States or that are from the United States. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest. Here we go. Okay, Tom and Mike, thank you so much for being here. And it's this cute little furball you have with you.
This is Paquito. He's Panamanian, because we adopted him here. And he is 4 months old. There's a little one.
So is he bilingual, or are you teaching him English?
Yeah. No. He speaks more Spanish than we do at this point.
Okay. Well, but he knows how to say, I want to go potty, or I want some food, and you understand, right?
He knows fetch and good boy and down and sit in Spanish.
Okay. Well, thanks again for joining us. So why don't you share with everybody a little bit about where you moved, when you moved to Panama, and where you moved from?
So we, first of all, thanks for having us. It's an honor to be here. We purchased the online guide. So we weren't one of the original people that came on the tour, but we found like so much value on the online guide as far as the process of what we need to accomplish and what the goals, and also just the wonderful Facebook group and all the support there was extremely helpful, if not absolutely necessary. So I want to plug that. We went, when did we come here? Mid-February to March for a month while we applied for our temporary residency card. So we kind of planned on being here a little while so we could look at, if we liked everything, look at places to live and different communities. And we used a guide from a private guide from the guide, and went around, looked at all kinds of different areas. And he was real honest about, okay, we have this and we have that, and this area is not so good, and this, and he was really good about just being very honest and not hyping things, so we could really make a good decision. So that's very helpful. But then we ended up in well, wait, okay. We're still on vacation at that point.
Yeah.
But so we decided, we got our temporary residency, and we flew back home, and kind of the emotions is what we're talking about tonight. You get very romanticized with Panama, you get very excited, and when you come home, you're like, I'm depressed because I'm back here. I want to get back to Panama, right? Wouldn't you say so? And so I'd recommend you use that as a motivator, and not like, because I think it's easy to stall out sometimes once we're experienced something wonderful and we go home and you get back in your routine, and you can kind of stall and not move forward. So we made a goal to get back here in 30 days, which is real aggressive. I know that's not for everyone, but we were kind of ready before we came here the first time to go. Do you have any comments?
No.
Okay. So so we get back and we're like, okay, there's a lot to do. As all of you know, there's, well, not everyone, but there's a lot to do to get prepared.
Yeah. One of our friends who came sold everything she had and scrapped everything and decided just to buy everything new here.
Yeah.
Another friend packed up a large shipping container full of stuff.
Yeah.
And we kind of split the difference. We decided that we would bring anything that we can carry in our carry-ons and luggage, and that's actually quite a bit.
There's 6 units of
Yeah.
four big check bags plus your carry-outs. You can get a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to bring everything. Luckily, we made the offer on our condo just before we left the first time, and luckily for us, our condo was completely furnished and everything, so we didn't need to worry about bringing furniture.
Yeah,
and we
Exactly.
it worked out perfectly for us.
That's one of the big benefits in Panama. Whether you're buying or you're renting, the majority of places come completely furnished. I mean, they've got pots and pans and dishes and everything. And you might hate the pots and pans or hate the dishes or not like the bedspread, but you can buy all that stuff in Panama. You don't have to ship it here. So, and that's part of the fun of some of the things that you had in like a New England state or Texas or wherever. It's just not going to fit in very well in Panama. Just that style isn't. So, if you're gonna move to Panama, get Panama stuff.
Yeah, and we live in El Cangrejo in Panama City, and there's definitely a look that all the apartments have. It's a very clean, modern look. Most of our stuff back home was arts and crafts in a bungalow period. We lived in an house built in 1896, so it wouldn't really matter. Went to
Doesn't match
really
the
fit in
tropics.
exactly. Went to fit in. So we came with a nice clean slate. Everything was pretty white, so we've been adding some color and just some personal touches. Works out really well.
And everyone, they have everything here you could need. Honestly, if you forget something, they have everything.
Yeah.
You're not going to the third world. They've got, in some respects, they're more modern than us.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So we haven't had a problem finding really anything. If you can't find it here, you can order through Amazon and have it third-party shipped.
You can always do Amazon if you have to. I had that same problem in the very first house I rented. It was either beige or beige. And for decorations on the wall, it was mirrors. So we're reflecting more beige. So, so I went and got some colorful bedspreads at Conway. And they had this huge wall in one place that needed something big. And, artwork was going to be really expensive. But I found this beautiful sarong at a shop in Albrook that I bought for $20. And I used double stick tape and put it on some bamboo that I got out of my yard and hung it on the wall, and it was perfect. It was like 8 feet by 5 feet, and it was perfect for decoration on the wall. So, you get creative when you get down to Panama. But, you're so right that whenever you first come here, there's that big thrill and excitement of just starting a new chapter in your life, starting all over again, leaving the old stuff behind, walking away from, any problems and just starting anew. And also, living perhaps in a lower cost of living than what you've had, especially property taxes and things like that are much lower here, so much lower here. And just the tropical beauty and the great weather in Panama. And you mentioned not having to bring very much. So many people, they have their winter clothes, their spring clothes, their fall clothes, and their summer clothes. But in Panama, you just need one set. You don't need a whole lot of other outfits, and you find you just kind of rotate the same 4 or 5 things all the time anyway. So you don't need to bring a lot of clothes, and it's so easy to buy things here. Exactly. So you didn't ship anything. It was just what you brought on the airplane. The 4 big suitcases and some carry-ons and everything. And then because you bought a condo or an apartment to live in, it probably had a lot of things like silverware and pots and pans, at least to get you started. You can always buy some new stuff later to get that going. So what are some other challenges that maybe you had whenever you first came here? The language barriers, one, customs, and just the bureaucracy of things. But what are some challenges that people might expect when they move to Panama?
I think our biggest challenge, kind of embarrassing, we're both large men, and XX and XXX. XX and XXX shirts are impossible to find in Panama. Most of the people are thinner than most Americans. So if you're a man that wears XX or XXX,
Bring the shirts.
Bring some shirts ahead of time.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the most difficult thing.
The daily, what you'll find is your day at first, your daily routines like going shopping at the grocery store or going to the clothes store, try to find shirts, or going to sign up at the gym. Normally those things, you do, and it's sometimes a headache, sometimes it's not, but it's a little more intense because you're having to figure out the language, right? So you have to, because not everyone's, a lot of Panamanians speak enough English and they're very helpful.
Very helpful.
They speak slow English here, not fast. They're very great. They're very polite. So you don't have to worry about people getting frustrated with you necessarily. But if you can just learn a couple words, and once you do it a few times, you know that the grocery clerk's asking you if you want a bag. She'll say, I didn't know what she was saying. So it's a little nervous when you first start doing it, but you start to get used to it, and you just kind of laugh and your way through it. So
and people are pretty good. There's a lot of communities here. I went to a birthday party last night. I'm a member of a ceramic studio, so I do my clay work. Just about everything's within walking distance. We go out. We've been going out 2 or 3 times a week with other people, so we're actually more social now than we were back home. And we've only been here a month. So, it's pretty easy.
It doesn't take long to make a lot of friends when you move to Panama.
Very easy. People want to go out and do things here. One of the things that happened, I think, like the malls here are like the event. Everyone goes to the mall. They have huge, beautiful restaurants in the mall. Everyone's at the mall. Like the United States, you don't really go to the mall anymore. They're kind of dying. But here, because Amazon hasn't encroached as much, people, that's like their thing to do. Everyone goes to the mall, they shop, they go to the nice restaurant. These are nice restaurants out in the mall. It's kind of,
And like last night, we went to,
even if you're just going to get an ice cream cone on a Friday night, you do it at the mall.
It's everyone's there and it's fun. What were you going to say?
Like last night, we went to a birthday party at Benihana's, which I haven't done for years, but it was really enjoyable. And a lot of things, if you're in Panama City, it's pretty easy to walk a lot of places. We can walk to the mall, we can walk to the studio. From our house, there's probably 24 restaurants within a block, which is really nice, which is a nice change.
Yes. Well, and if if you get tired of walking, you can always hail down a taxi to take you to wherever you're going to go, or put in something quickly for an Uber. But that's one of the amazing things about Panama City is it's such a walkable town, and the public transportation, whether it's the buses or the subway or any of those things, it's just super accessible. So you don't need a car.
And you can catch an Uber within 4 or 5 minutes. They're very quick, and just about every place in town is $2 to $3 away. So if you're going as a couple, $3 is nothing to go out to a restaurant or to the movies each way.
Exactly.
Cheaper than parking. Definitely cheaper than maintaining a car and paying for gas and everything.
We don't have a car. We don't have the need to have one. So if you don't want to have that extra cost, Panama City is great because everything's right here and there's plenty of transportation. So
the driving is just a little bit crazy in Panama City. I've only driven twice in Panama City, and I said I'll never do that again. I just would rather I'd rather leave my car someplace else and not drive in the city. Let an Uber or a taxi driver take care of it. And I really prefer Uber. Their cars are a little bit nicer than the taxis usually. Some of those taxis are held together with duct tape, it looks like.
Yes. And most of the Ubers are pretty brand new mid-size SUVs or large SUVs. So they're pretty easy to get out of. They're nice.
And they're safe, and the drivers are very conscious. I've had several drivers. You want to be here, you want to be over here. They take care of you, and you'll find that with the Panamanian people. Mike had an incident where he was at a local restaurant, and something happened to the stool. Right?
Yeah,
it fell backwards.
I fell backwards.
He fell backwards, and I don't know. In the States, people are like worried to help you because they're going to get sued or something. But the Panamanians rushed over and helped him up, got him up made sure he was okay. I mean, that's the kind of city and people it is we're talking about.
And this
They're
was
so
outside,
helpful.
this was outside along the sidewalk, and and my phone went flying and stuff, and I got up and somebody got me the phone and brought it back and my wallet and everything, and they were really concerned. It was really nice.
And that kind of leads to safety. And we feel very safe in the city. We go out at night walking around. We have never had any safety concerns or anything like that. We feel it's very natural here. It's not a problem.
Yeah. So what state did you move from?
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Asheville, where the hurricane was.
Yeah. Are there things you missed about Asheville, North Carolina?
We miss our friends, of course, but we were there for 15 years, so it was time for a change.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely, I think it's important to learn the language here, because you can get lonely unless you're going out to expat groups all the time, or you'll drive your spouse nuts because you're looking for people to talk to, and there's a limited amount of people you can communicate with just knowing English.
Yeah, and we're taking classes. The English school's a block away, so we just walk down, and so we go down there twice a week for 2 hours and been practicing. And if you don't practice your Spanish on your Uber driver, the Uber driver will practice his English on you. So either way, it works out pretty well.
Yeah, and you just have, even if it's not a complete sentence, if it's just a phrase, Panamanians appreciate it so much. If you'll speak a little bit of Spanish, it doesn't have to be a complete sentence, but just, even a phrase, or, just even a hola or muchas gracias, or any of those things, they really appreciate it. So, the homesickness really hasn't been a problem because you knew it was time for a change. What about making friends in Panama? You said you've already got a lot of friends since you've been there, but what are some tips that you would give people on how to mingle and how to go out and meet people?
Well, I think the first step is going to the meetups that you organize on a monthly basis. You start to create a network from that.
And then go ahead.
We get about 60 people at least that come to the ones in Panama City every month.
And then they also actually meet every week. They have infill ones. So local.
Yeah, I know. Becky has the monthly group. So by coming to the monthly group, you meet the people that have other branch out groups also. So it's a good way to meet other people. And that's one of the reasons I started that with Panama Relocation Tours, to have our monthly get-togethers. We have 8 of them going on simultaneously across the country. And I do that just so that people aren't just sitting at home watching TV, get out and go meet some people, even if it's just, 5 people. Well, those 5 people will introduce you to some other people that'll introduce you to some other people that will help you network. And meet people that you have things in common with.
And then Tom meets people at the gym. We meet people at the gym. Like I said, I do ceramics, so I meet people at the ceramics studio, which is really nice. You just meet people out at the local restaurants. There's a fonda down the street, and we've got to know some of the people there. So it's just really nice.
It's just getting, like you said, it's getting out there and just doing it, and letting the fear fade away and just get out there and meet people and network with people. And that part wasn't too hard because you kind of already laid the foundation with those group meetups. So that's been wonderful.
Yeah, even going to the grocery store, you can kind of spot an expat a mile away. And you just have to go up to them and say, "Hi, I just moved to Panama. I'd like to introduce myself." And so, you just have to be, you have to put it forward a little bit to be able to meet people, because you'll find sometimes that you have, I'm from Asheville, North Carolina too. And you have so much in common. So crazy things can happen just going up and talking to people.
We've actually, in the Facebook group, have, as we share in the different posts, I've met people, and we've had them here for, lunch and dinner, just to kind of be ambassadors and tell them what we've learned, and they usually come the first or second day they're here, and then they use some of our recommendations or go on tours and different things. So that's another way, just as that we've been able to meet people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And those in the U.S. that are moving here or interested in moving here. Yeah.
So do you both already have your residency visa?
We have our temporary residency.
Okay.
So,
well, that's a start.
That's a start. That's a start. We're excited. I have a note here. One of the emotions you go through is, I think, just during like we were talking about packing up, moving. It's that whole time is stressful. And you just kind of have to push through it. I think is just make a plan. I just made a huge list of things like what I'm taking, what I need to get done, what banks I need to notify, the phone, and all that stuff's available on your Facebook group. And then you just cross off things in your list, and you just go through the stress and you just get it done. And then, like the night we were flying out, we didn't get done until about 2 a.m. We just collapsed, and then we just got up and got in the Uber and came. And once we got here, we were fine.
Yeah.
Did the 6-month checklist and the online Panama relocation guide, was that helpful for you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
and remembering little things to do. And sometimes you get that and you're moving in 3 months, so you have to compress it. You do it even sooner, but at least it's some things that you can check off. I did this, I did that, I did these other things.
Yeah, that was extremely helpful, and we still use it every day. I mean, we just signed up for the box thing where they ship it to the PO box here. We've what else have we used the relocation guide for? Used it for a bunch of things too. Yeah. So I mean, we wouldn't have come to Panama if we hadn't had that guide, because we would not have been confident in coming, because it has and the Facebook group too. If we didn't have those two things, we'd be really lost. With the
and anytime that you need help, we're right here for you. Even like whenever you were going to do the live stream a couple of weeks ago, and you said you couldn't do it because you had an upset stomach, the mom and me just knew what it was, and it's the mom thing, and so I told you what you should take to feel better, and so that brings up, what experience have you had with healthcare or seeing a doctor in Panama?
So far, Mike's been lucky. He hasn't needed health care yet, have you?
No.
So, like Jackie said, and she was right, I had a parasite. Luckily, this was happening around the time of when we did the signups for the mini-med. And so I went to mini-med. I was in there within 2 minutes in the doctor's office. Now, some of them are a little bit busier, but I was out by Centennial Mall, which isn't as busy of a mini-med. And I got in there. It's kind of funny. They just say, okay, go to room 1. You go to room 1, you open the door, and there's the doctor behind the desk, and you sit down, and he gets his Google Translate phone out, and you just kind of back and forth. He'll ask you the questions, what's going on, have you eaten anything weird, and he gave me a bunch of medicine, right? So the medicine was free. There's a couple of things he didn't have, so I needed to go over to the Ray supermarket and get those, but he wrote me a script. It wasn't that expensive. And it was very simple and easy, and I walked out paying nothing. So I'm already on the plan, the $20 a month plan.
You have the monthly or the annual plan at mini-med, which is, for those that don't know, it's mini-med. They offer, and I have an article about it on the Panama Relocation Tour website, but they offer what they call the Expat Health Membership. It's not really insurance, but it's a membership that gives you, for $20 a month or $220 a year, you get unlimited doctor visits, lab work, imaging, and 3 specialist visits a year. So plus a free ambulance if you need it, to go to their mini-med hospital. So it's all included. It's a super affordable price. So those are, and the good thing about mini-med is if you have pre-existing conditions like high blood pressure or high cholesterol or whatever it might be, most Panama insurances are either going to say, well, we're not going to insure you, or they'll say, well, we're going to exclude all your pre-existing conditions for the first 2 years. And then maybe we'll insure it at 50% after that. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. So mini-med really fills that gap. for people that have pre-existing conditions at a super affordable price. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter what pre-existing conditions you have, that's available. Currently, they only have 14 clinics in the Panama City area and then a hospital, but they have some plans to do some expansions into the rest of Panama this year, hopefully. So I'll have some news about that soon on where they're going to be expanding to. But if you live in Panama City, it's the perfect solution.
Yeah.
With 14 clinics, you're never very far away from one of them.
No, it's great, and it makes you feel more secure too when you get here and you already have a plan, and you can
Yeah.
moderate to moderate things
Yeah,
you can go right there, and it's an easy thing. I had another incident which was a little more serious where I was seeing some floaters in my eye, and then I started seeing the telltale signs of a torn retina, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm in a foreign country. I don't know where to go to do." But because of the networking and things like that, you can do. My friend Powers also was our real estate agent. He's become a good friend. Referred me to Panama. What's it called? Panama Eye
Clinic.
Center.
Okay.
So I'm like,
Panama
okay.
Clinic.
Yeah. And so I was in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is a clinic. And in the US, you think clinic is like walk in. I go, are they going to be able to help me?
No, it's a first-class hospital.
Oh, yeah. Really nice.
Yeah, we have a video about the Panama Clinic on our YouTube channel, and it's the most state-of-the-art, fancy, high-tech hospital in Panama City. They even have a helicopter pad on top of the roof for people that are care flighted in that need emergency medical care. But it's absolutely, I think, the best hospital in Panama City.
An excellent doctor. They within 15 minutes, I had a retina specialist with me who's done 20,000 retinal repairs. They took me back for laser surgery. Wasn't pleasant, but they did. I mean, it was all modern. Everything was modern there. It wasn't like you felt like you were in, third world country. Everything was done. Went back and rechecked. Everything's still fine. I have to go a couple more rechecks, but I'm very confident in them. I didn't. But I can see how people in the beginning are like, "Oh my gosh, what's the quality of care?" The quality of care is very good.
Yeah,
it's very good here. And if you stick with the private hospitals and he had Western training, even training from Israel. You still want to check out your doctor, but I found the medical care is very good here.
Yeah,
that was one of our questions. We didn't really know. One thing I'd recommend it just to people who your process of moving are coming here. Is make a list of like your emergency numbers, because when we first got here, we're like what do we do if we have a heart attack right now? Where do we go?
Yeah.
We don't know. Yeah. So it's kind of good to do a proactive list. Like they have 911 here, but they also have private ambulance. You can write down their numbers so that if something bad happens, you're not panicking trying to figure out who to call or what to do. You can go right to your list and just call and get in somewhere quick. So
right.
I'd recommend.
Actually, in the online Panama relocation guide, we have something called the buddy list that you can print out, in the buddy list of people to contact in Panama. And Mike might contact Tom, or Tom might contact Mike. But if you have a Panamanian that you're really good friends with, definitely have them contacted too, especially if they're bilingual. Because in an emergency situation, whatever little bit of Spanish you've learned kind of goes right out the door. In an emergency situation. But in the buddy list, it also has, stateside, if they're, children or spouses or brothers or sisters that you want contacted. And it has who's your doctor, what's the phone number, and all those kind of things. So just to have that with you, and, I recommend and have multiple copies. Put one on your refrigerator with a magnet. You might have one in your car if you have a car, but have at least some of that information even in your wallet, because if you were to pass out, they're going to look in your wallet and look for information.
That's a good point.
And say, in an emergency, contact this person, and then that person will know where all the other information is. But that's in the online guide called the buddy list.
And you should do that even if you're in the United States.
Yeah, it's always a good practice. Yeah. Absolutely. And even the hospital phone numbers. Yeah, I didn't know there was a buddy list, so that's great to know. now I know who to call the hospital to help me.
Mm-hmm. So, how long have you been in Panama now? What has it been? 3 months? 4 months?
No.
No, we're here a month just to visit and tour, and then so we've been here.
I mean, since you moved here.
About a month.
About a month.
We're fresh.
Yeah.
3 or 4 months. So, do you feel like have you made the turning point where Panama feels like home? Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Our house, our condo definitely feels like it's our home.
Yeah.
And then the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We really feel like it's a great neighborhood, and it's walkable. People are very friendly, and we really
what neighborhood? And you're in El Cangrejo, right? Yeah, that's a wonderful neighborhood. I love that neighborhood. You know, whenever you need to buy groceries, you know exactly which grocery store you're going to go to. When you say, "Yeah, I'm kind of in the mood for a pizza," you know exactly which restaurant you're going to go to. Whenever you want your whiskey or beer or wine, and you know the right store that's going to have the thing that you want, then that's whenever you know that you've made the turning point. Whenever the things that you need or that you want in your life, where you know where to go get them.
And what's really nice is this neighborhood has 4 universities nearby. So there's lots of college kids, and it just has a really positive energy.
Right.
And it's a good mix between expats and Panamanians.
Yeah.
So what we noticed in some neighborhoods, it was all just expats, and we really wanted to be around the culture of the Panamanian people. So we wanted a neighborhood that was more mixed and had all kind of different people.
Right.
And it's like the most dog-friendly neighborhood I've ever been in. There's dogs everywhere of every type, everywhere in this neighborhood. It's great. And they have paths and different things for the dogs to do. And they have pet stores, veterinarians, everything's right here.
Dog park.
It's very nice.
Right. So I'm going to ask you one other really tough question, then I'm going to open it up for questions from our audience. So what was the hardest part about leaving Asheville, North Carolina? Was it the stuff, the stuff you were getting rid of, or, that's where you lived for a long time? Was there, or had you just pretty much closed that door already, mentally already closed that door?
I think I'm not that big into stuff. So we brought out only a half dozen personal things. I think for me, I was really active in on boards with the community and active in building trails and different community things. And so I'm giving up my political and social activities with the city and different communities in the city was the hardest thing. I'd gotten to the point where I was active knew all the members of the city and council and was able to I was working on greenways and different activities in parks and stuff, and I had to give that up. And after working so hard on the sidewalks of Asheville, I come here and the sidewalks are so much worse. I don't know what I was complaining about. But
right, yeah, definitely they are.
But the people here are really.
Yeah, the fun thing is in Panama, you get to reinvent yourself.
Exactly.
All those things that you did that you enjoyed, you can pick and choose the things that you like the best, and you can reinvent that here in Panama. Like you mentioned that you like ceramics. Well, if there isn't a ceramics like class, you could start one. If there wasn't a drama class, you could start one. So you can really reinvent yourself. And especially if you were working before you came here, and if you're retired now, or you have more time on your hands now, then you just have more time to do the things that bring you pleasure.
Exactly.
It's true. I think the hardest thing was just the fear of the unknown, moving to another country. We've never lived in another country. We've traveled a lot, but leaving what's familiar into something new, I think is always a little anxiety producing. Yeah. But I've been pleasantly surprised and I'm happy. So, you just go through the fears, the doubts. That's just part of it's a major life change for anyone. But I think if you approach it positively and with the support system we have through you guys and things, I think it made it a lot easier.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, having a support system it makes all the difference in the world. It really does.
Yes.
Wherever you're moving to, just knowing that you can tap right into that support system, and you've got a group. Like if you had some kind of emergency, I could send out a message, and we'd have the PRT family would just swoop right in to do whatever they could to help you right away. So to know that support system's there.
Yeah, I don't think we could have done it without the support system and going on. Even you respond to me directly. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I remember that it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, you put a post on our private Facebook group about the emotional roller coaster ride of, I'm going to move to Panama. Well, maybe I shouldn't move to Panama. Am I doing the right thing? Am I going to have regrets? Am I going to want to go back? So there is an emotional roller coaster that everybody goes through, regardless of who you are, regardless of your reasons for moving to Panama. People always go through those emotional roller coasters of leaving things behind and starting a whole new life in another country. So it's definitely an emotional experience for all of us. But sometimes it's good to shake things up a little bit. When you get to where you're just in the same old every single day, every Friday night you do the same thing, every Saturday night, every Wednesday you do this. When you do all the things just to shake up your life a little bit and do something completely different, it just brings a lot of excitement back into being a human being and being alive.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I think change is the way of life. And I think if you don't change, things become very dull and you grow old and die. I mean, I want to live. I want to be young again. I want to do something exciting before I can't,
Yeah. And a couple of years ago, I had an episode where I was made walking difficult, and I was thinking I'll never travel again. And since then I got better, and now's the time to go and explore and see what the world's like, while I still have the health and still have the energy to do it. So, if you just keep putting things off, you're just going to get old and die, and nobody wants to do that.
So our message is take the risk. It's worth it. It's
Yeah.
worth the risk, and you won't be unhappy that you did, because Panama is a wonderful place and the people here are wonderful people.
They're wonderful. And, if things change, you can always move back. You can always move back. But the important thing is don't have regrets. Don't be, 5 years from now saying, darn, I wish I would have moved to Panama. And at least say, I'm just going to give it a try for 2 years and see how it is. But if you never do take those risks and take the leap of faith and just move to Panama, then you're probably going to have regrets later on that you didn't at least give it a try, even for 6 months. Give it a try. Absolutely. So I'm going to open it up for some questions from the audience, if that's okay. If anybody has a question for Tom and Mike, you can type it into the chat window. You have to put 3 question marks in front of it. Otherwise, I won't know it's a question, because there's all kinds of conversations going on over there. With a rental, what happens if you want to change the sofa? So they actually bought their apartment, but if you want to change the sofa, you change the sofa. But same thing with a rental. If there's a sofa in there that you really don't like, you can certainly ask the landlord if you can buy a new sofa, but you'll probably have to donate it to the apartment, because they're not going to have a place to store the other one. So they'll end up selling it and getting rid of it. Not a question, but SHEIN has a store there, and they do have menswear. And is that menswear in the extra large sizes? I guess it is. So you'll have to check that one out.
Definitely. Thank you.
How do you tell an Uber driver where you want to go if there are no addresses? There's landmarks.
Well, all the restaurants have the name, and if you just start typing the name of the restaurant out, it'll fill out the rest of the way.
Right.
All all the buildings
Have a name.
all have names. Yeah. So we live in, we live in the Luxor building. So we just say the name of the Luxor building.
Okay.
We just say the name of the studio or the restaurant or the shopping center you want to go to, and
it works really well. It's very simple. It's not difficult at all.
Yeah.
The name.
And even if you get kind of close, even if you just get kind of close to, and you can say, uno más, one more block, then they'll go one more block.
And once you call the Uber, it shows you exactly how far away it is. It shows you a picture of the car. So it says, it's a yellow Toyota.
Yeah, who's going to pick you up. And they come in there and they're flashing their lights, so it's an Uber driver. And the first thing I do is I verify that, because they tell you what the license plate is going to be for your driver and what the car looks like. So I verify that the license plate is the same, because there may be somebody else who's called an Uber driver that's going to go to a completely different place than yours. So make sure it's your Uber driver. So John wants to know, have you faced any issues as two men living together?
No, none. And we've been open with most people. We've never had a problem.
Yeah, I introduced him as a spouse, and I've never had any issues with Panamanians at all.
Yeah, Panamanians are very accepting of anybody and everybody, so long as they're nice people. That's all they want, just to be respectful, nice person, and they don't care.
They don't.
Yeah, and there's a Pride Festival coming up, so it's pretty common here.
So Denny says, as big guys, does the heat get to you in Panama City while walking around? She says that she's in a walker. Does the heat bother you? I'm sure it does. It takes a while to acclimate.
It doesn't bother me as how much I thought it was going to bother me. I mean, I don't know why, but it doesn't.
There's usually a breeze, or there's often a breeze, and the breeze really helps. I was working in Central Florida for a while, and in the afternoons there was no breeze at all, and it was just miserable. Yeah. But we're right off the ocean, so there is a breeze most of the time. I know that people who live in higher floors will have their windows open because you do get a nice breeze, and that helps quite a bit.
And pace yourself, until you acclimate. Pace yourself when you're walking in the street. But I really don't like super hot weather, and I'm okay here. Yeah. So, and I don't like Florida weather, but this has been okay. So there's something different about it. I don't know what.
Yeah, the actual temperature isn't really that hot. It's the humidity that's pretty high there, especially now in the rainy season. It's quite humid. But, if you're walking like before 10 o'clock in the morning, it's really quite pleasant. And if you're walking after 6 o'clock at night, it's quite pleasant. But in that time in between, you just take an Uber. If you only have one block to walk, maybe you do it. But even for the one block, pay the Uber $2 and just forget about walking in the heat. So it's so affordable. So it's already scrolled off the screen, but someone want to know if you brought pets. You want to introduce your pet and tell about.
Here he's right down here. Introduce him.
What a cutie!
We didn't bring Coquito. We got him here.
Oh, precious.
So, and then like I said, in the neighborhood, most everybody has a small pet, and on our floor, just about everybody has a pet, which is nice. So that if you hear a little barking, you don't feel bad.
Every building that we went to look at buying, we're all dog friendly. Yeah. So you don't have a big problem here with that.
No, we had looked at some countries where you couldn't find any condos to rent or to buy that accepted pets, but here every place did. Yeah. They've been really great about it. It's been a problem.
And they have the support systems, great vets, great supply stores.
Yeah.
They even have, I just found today they have pet insurance, which I'll get you the information on, but I just found out from a friend they have pet insurance here, which I didn't know.
Right. Now, you adopted your dog here in Panama. You didn't bring your dog. You adopted your dog in Panama.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's a good segue into the next question. Have you had any experience with veterinary care there?
So what we've been told by people is that you need to be kind of careful. You want to go to a veterinary that has more than one doctor, so more like a clinic. You'll get better quality of care there. Another thing is that when you get vaccines, make sure that they provide name brand vaccines, not generic vaccines. Now, I don't
Right.
know the ins and outs, but that's what I was told.
And we've gone to 2 places, and they both of them did a blood test, and we got the printout from the computer of every single thing and explained everything. And they've been really good. I think our service with the vets have been better here than they were in the States.
Yeah, and more affordable.
Yeah, way more affordable.
More affordable in the States.
Yeah.
He just had an appointment for his Bordetella, and it was like $30.
Yeah.
With the vaccine and the visit, so that's would be probably 200 in the U.S.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
So they don't try the upselling act like some of the vets do in the States.
So David or David wants to know if you have to run a dehumidifier in your apartment. If you have your air conditioner on, you really don't need that, right?
Right.
No. If we went somewhere maybe for a month, we'd maybe get one or something.
Yeah.
But they have those gel packs you can put in that kind of absorb.
No,
that
when we
stuff.
came here, we set our AC at 20 Celsius, and we've now slowly raising it up. I think we're up to 23 or 24, which is perfectly comfortable.
Yeah.
And that it's not too cold, but there's not the humidity either. It's just right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like what I do is I just don't like air conditioners. So I just have my windows open a lot, but if it pours down rain, I close it because I don't want all that humidity in my house. And I'm either going to turn on ceiling fans or turn on a dehumidifier. But some people, they use their air conditioner pretty much 24/7. Keep in mind, in Panama, it's not usually a central air conditioning system.
Right.
Instead, you're going to have a split unit that's going to be on the wall up high in each one of the different rooms. So what you can do is just close off the house where you're not at the time. Like if you're in the living room watching TV or in the kitchen cooking, then you're going to have the air conditioner running in that area, but maybe have the rooms closed off in the bedroom. Then when you're ready to go to bed, you close off the air conditioners in the living room and the kitchen and turn on the air conditioners in the bedroom area. So that saves money by not keeping the whole house air conditioned whenever you're not even using the whole house at the same time.
Yeah, and for our house, we have 4 split units, and 1 or 2 of them we've hardly ever used. So you're correct.
Close it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Victoria says, some folks have emotional issues leaving family. Have you, or do you have emotional issues leaving parents, family, children, grandchildren, any of those things? Was that tough for you? You know, it's only a flight away.
Yeah, that's the thing. My mom lives in Iowa, so it's maybe a 4 or 5 hour flight, and my sister lives close to her, so there's some support system there. It's a concern, but we didn't have.
No, we had done that previously when we moved from the West Coast to North Carolina, so that was something we had already done.
Yeah.
So we were already kind of separated from our families, but I fly back and see my sisters, once or twice a year, and it's not that far of a flight. And that's one of the reasons we picked Panama. You don't have a whole lot of time changes, and some of the places we looked at, were 8-10 hour flight away, and that's really difficult to do. And the flights are cheap, and you don't have to deal with changing time zones, which is where you get the jet lag from.
True.
Right. Yeah, it's a short flight to get back to the United States. And then, of course, there's the FaceTime and all the other kind of ways to stay connected with people, just like we're doing right now. We're in 2 completely different locations, and it's easy to have a conversation using video.
Yeah.
Another question came about. Oh, wrong one. Do you feel like you had to actually navigate an emotional roller coaster? It sounds like it went pretty smoothly without issues.
Oh no, there was emotional roller coaster. There was not emotions, but mainly it's trying to get everything done, and you go through anxiety, like, am I making the right decision? Everyone's going to go through that. It's just human nature. But there was some ups rounds and getting everything done. And we had to rent our house out. We were trying to figure out what to do with our house in Asheville because we didn't want to sell it. We wanted to keep it. So we were like, what are we going to do? You just rent people we don't know. Luckily, we had some friends who lost their house in the hurricane when Helen came through, and we're living in the house they didn't really like, and we trust them implicitly. So we were able to move them in, which that was a big burden right there resolved. So there's like the things that are going to come up. You're going to kind of go through. It went smooth, but there's still emotions going on at the same time.
Right. And, even after you get to Panama, even after you've made the decision, I'm going to move to Panama, even after you get to Panama, you can have a bad day. And you can think, what in the world did I do? Did I make the right decision? And maybe I shouldn't have done this. So you're going to have days. People are going to have days like that when you first move there. But once you start integrating and you start meeting Panamanian people you see how helpful they are, you meet other expats and you see how helpful they are, you'll learn about using the medical system, you learn how to use an Uber, you learn where once you kind of get plugged in to all the different things that you do on a daily basis or weekly basis, then you just settle down and it makes it easier. But there's definitely going to be transitions. So Jason asked, what are your utility costs and how does it compare to North Carolina?
So our gas and water are included in our association fees. Our association fee for this building is $250, which is very low compared to the States.
And it goes by square meters. So the larger the unit is, the more you pay, which is true of some of the places in the States. And we're about 1,500 square feet, which is a fairly good size for an apartment.
And then the electricity, we just got our first bill. I was like worried. It was $250, and that's because we've been running the air and like kind of adjusting ourselves to the climate.
But that's what it was in North Carolina.
But in North Carolina, $350, $400 sometimes in North Carolina. Water bill in North Carolina was about a quarter every 2 months, like about $250. Gas was high, so we're paying a lot less here. A lot less.
Definitely a third, probably.
A third of what we paid in the States. And your cable bill is or not cable. We don't call it anymore. Internet. That's like $35 a month. It's not like U.S. So it's a lot more affordable here. And you can control your electricity bill, obviously, by not, living like Eskimos like we do. So.
So Joe has a great question. What positive experiences have Tom and Mike had since arriving in Panama, which affirmed for them that you made the right move?
That's a good question. I'm actually a pastor too, and so I look for little divine signs, when you're moving somewhere. Powell, our real estate agent, has become like our best friend. He just we have a lot of things in common with him. He not only helped us find the place, but after the sale, he coordinated our utilities. He went out of his way to help us assimilate. We're friends now. We go do things. That's kind of like when you deal with people here, maybe in business, they tend to turn into friendships and kind of a divine appointments to help us transition. Right?
He's come over and showed us how to make. The
local
version.
And even when you had your eye problem, he was there for you.
He was there for that. So we've had things like that. Miguel, we're good friends with Miguel now. One of your drivers that's in the guide. Some other things that happened that were really positive.
I'm at the studio.
He found the studio,
which was nice
for his ceramics, and he's getting to know those people. So we definitely had signs when we got here that this is the right place for us. And, so it will happen.
We're a member of a LGBT expat group.
And there's a lot of confirmations that we're in the right place. It's
I found the Panamanians that If they see you're sad, they're going to bend over backwards to try to make you happy. If they see you feel frustrated, they're going to bend over backwards to try to pave the way to make you not feel frustrated, to show you the way. They want you to love Panama as much as they love Panama. And that's one thing about Panamanians, they love their country. And they absolutely love their country. And because you're here, they want you to love it and be happy here too. So they're going to do whatever they can to help make that happen.
I've traveled all over the world, and I've never seen a country have more of their national flags everywhere in people's houses, on the Uber. They have their flag and stuff. They're very proud of their country, and they should be.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of national pride for sure. They're very passionate too about their country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Denny said, these are great guys. Well, I knew that. I so appreciate your honesty and spirits. I love these interviews, Jackie. Thank you. So I think it's important. I'm sure that you listen to a lot of my interviews with people and live streams and watch the videos that we did of people that have moved to Panama. And it just gives you a little glimpse of what your life can be like whenever you move here. And it's not going to always be super smooth. There's going to be some bumps in the road. There's going to be a little bit of ups and downs. But once you hit your stride, and then it's just a beautiful place to live. It's a wonderful place to live. One more thing. I'm going to do one more question, then we're going to call it a day. The important question. Jason wants to know, do you miss American beer?
You're the beer drinker.
No.
They have it here. They have it in Panama.
Yeah. And beer is cheap here. You can get, most restaurants, you can get local beer for like $2 and a foreign beer, which would be American beer, for $3. Forget the American beer. I don't drink beer, but people tell me that the Panama beer, like the Balboa and stuff, is really good, and it's half as much as American beer. That's one of the things you're going to find when you move to Panama, is that if you stick with those American brands of everything that you were used to, you're going to pay more. But if they have an equivalent that's a Panamanian brand, it can be more than 50% less than something that was exported, whether it's beer or canned tomatoes or, whatever, some kind of cheese, whatever it might be. If you have a foreign brand like Kraft cheese, it's going to cost way more than if you buy a Panamanian brand for the same thing. I think for food, the only surprise we had was we were originally from California, and so we had a preconceived notion of what a tortilla is.
Yes.
And the Panamanian tortillas are significantly different than what you think of as a Mexican.
Very different.
That's what we call them, tortillas, but they're really called, what are they called again? They're those little bread things that give you with the
I don't even eat them because they're just, and they're always fried. So I don't want to eat fried food.
Yeah, it's like a fried hockey puck.
Yeah, they call them tortillas, but it's not. Being from Texas, that is not a tortilla. Yeah. So I want to thank you both so much for sharing your experience of moving to Panama and being honest that, there's going to be ups and downs and doubts and fears and all those things. You're going to experience all the emotions. And it can happen whether you're moving from California to Asheville, North Carolina, or whether you're moving from North Carolina to Panama. You still have those emotions about whether you're making the right decision and where to go and all those things. But once you connect with different people that have already gone down that path of making the move, then it makes the transition so much easier to know that you have a support system that's in place. And that's one of the things that we really try to do at Panama Relocation Tours, is make sure you have a support system. You know which doctors to go to, list of specialists, here's a list of veterinarians, our monthly get-togethers. All those things help you have a smooth transition whenever you move.
Absolutely. And we have to thank you for that, because you were able to make it smooth. If anything was smooth, that was always the resource we ran to. I go, let's go look at the guide. Mike, did you look at the guide? What about this? What about that? When you're packing up. we do about this? Ah, get Jackie on the phone.
Tom panics more than I do.
Yeah, I'm more of the panicker. Yeah. So, but it was the guiding light to get us here. So we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well,
So thanks again for sharing this information. I hope you both enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I hope all of our guests that were on the live stream, thank you so much for being here and enjoy your weekend. For all you moms out there, if you're from the United States, happy Mother's Day tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
welcome.